Hi, ladies and gentlemen. It's First Lady Judy Banks, and I'm here to talk to you today about mental health first aid and why you should take a mental health first aid responder course. You often hear my husband and I talk about a broadcast that we are going to be doing a training class. So I usually get a lot of calls and emails saying, Judy, Lady Banks, what is a mental health first aid responder course? So I'm here to give you some information on what that course is and why it's important that everyone becomes familiar with becoming a mental health first aid responder. So, what is mental health first aid? Well, mental health first aid is a public education program that introduces participants to risk factors and warning signs of mental illness. It also builds understanding of the impact of these mental illnesses and overviews common support strategies. This is an 8 hour course, ladies and gentlemen, and you do have to be in your seat for 8 hours to receive the 3 year certification. The 8 hour course uses role playing and simulations to demonstrate how to offer initial help to someone who is experiencing a mental health crisis or headed for a mental health crisis. The program also teaches the common risk factors and warning signs of different mental illnesses and the specific types of illnesses like anxiety, depression, substance use, bipolar, schizoaffective disorder, psychosis, obsessive compulsive disorder, suicidal ideology, and so forth. These are all the mental health or mental illnesses that you will learn about in a mental health first aid responder course. Has anyone ever become so depressed that they can't even get up and go to work? They can't even get out of bed? Has anyone noticed that a coworker has come in angry all the time and out of sorts? Has anyone experienced trauma, post-traumatic, PSTD? So, with that being said, and excuse me because I know it's Friday and I know you guys are probably going to dinner and a movie, but again, I did just want to touch base with you on why you should take a mental health first aid responder course. In this course, you will also learn a 5 step action plan on how to help someone who is headed for a mental health a mental health crisis. And you're going to assess for risk of suicide and harm. You're going to listen non judgmentally. You're going to give reassurance and information. You're also going to encourage appropriate professional help, and that's the key word, appropriate. You're also going to encourage self help and other support strategies. In this course, you will also receive lots and lots of resources that you can utilize to help people who are experiencing a mental health crisis. Now, a lot of people don't get help for mental illness. They don't even know what it is, and a lot of people think they know what mental illness is, but they don't, which causes a lot of stigma in our communities. Many people won't go to the doctor, loved ones won't get their loved ones, their family members, their grandmothers and cousins and uncles. They won't get them help because they don't even know or recognize the signs of mental illness in the family. Usually you'll see this a lot. I mean, we may be at a family barbecue and everyone's always wondering why Uncle Charlie does not come out and mingle with the family. He's always in that back room. And people just brush that off as, oh, he just never joins the family. That's okay, that's just Uncle Charlie. But it's not. How long has Uncle Charles been back there in the back room? You've heard him talking to himself, arguing with someone that you know that's not there, and you're wondering, what is that about? Well, it could be the onset of mental illness, and it also could be someone who could possibly be headed for a mental health crisis. So, again, I want to give you a little overview of what mental health is or mental illness is. Like CPR, this course, Mental Health First Aid course, prepares participants to interact with a person in crisis and connect them to professional help. I do want to say that when you complete the course and you become certified, it does not mean that you are a therapist or a certified counselor or a licensed counselor. That's not what that means. Again, it's just like CPR. So if someone maybe you think might be having a heart attack, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to call the paramedics and have them come to help the person, right? And you're going to administer CPR until professional help comes on the scene. Well, as a certified mental health first aid responder, that's pretty much what you're going to learn to do, especially as you become certified. Again, using that 5-step action plan. And again, A, assessing for risk of suicide or harm, asking the appropriate questions to the person, listening non-judgmentally, and I know none of us have that problem, do we? Or do we listen judgmentally? Okay, so you want to give reassurance and information. You also want to encourage appropriate professional help and also encourage self-help and other support strategies. So, when did mental health come to the United States? Well, it's been here since 2008. It originally began in Australia, and over 175,000 people in the United States have become certified mental health first aid responders. It is also in it's in all 50 states, including the District of Columbia. It's in Puerto Rico, Sri Lanka, Portugal, Asia, China, Singapore. It's all over the place. The course is offered to a variety of audiences, including healthcare workers, police officers, students, college students, teachers, nursing home staff, group home staff, faith-based communities, and so forth. It's pretty much all over, and many people from all these different industries have come through the course. There's also a mental health first aid course for youth, again, adults, elder adults, safety, public safety officers, and so forth. So there's a different course for pretty much anyone out there who wants to learn more about mental illnesses. We talked about stigma, and maybe we didn't, but I just want to touch base on stigma for a few minutes. A lot of people don't get the help they need, you guys. And that's because they're called crazy. You may hear so many negative terms like he's 6 cans short of a 6-pack or whatnot. I mean, you hear things like crazy for cuckoo puffs and all these different negative connotations that people in the community experience when they are exhibiting signs of mental illness. And for those of you who out there that may feel like, well, I've never been mentally ill. Anyone ever have a bad breakup and you cried for days over that person and wanted them to come back? Well, you were experiencing a mental health crisis. You know, you couldn't even get up and go to work. Has anyone ever lost a job and they have become so depressed and they thought they were never ever going to regain their self-esteem? They felt worthless. They felt like they failed in some type of instance. That could be temporary mental illness, right? So it doesn't always have to be mental. When we talk about mental health, it doesn't always have to be negative. There is good mental health and there's not so good mental health. But say we say we do become depressed and we end up going to the doctor, because we have a stomach ache and we can't figure out why we can't get rid of this stomach ache. And it may have come on maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks after you lost your job. Then we go to the doctor and we say, well, I've had this stomach ache. And we discuss all the physical symptoms that we're having with our physician, but we don't discuss the psychological symptoms. that we have been experiencing, right? So it's usually missed as well with your doctor's appointment. So these are other things that we talk about during the 8-hour course. During the 8-hour course, you will also learn how to talk with someone who is thinking about completing suicide. Notice I did say completing. I did not say committing. You will learn in the course the appropriate language and words to use with someone who is contemplating on completing suicide, not committing, but completing suicide. You will learn what words not to say. You will learn what not to say to a person who is thinking about completing suicide. So you will also learn de-escalation skills, what to do when someone is so full of alcohol or on drugs that they have now become a danger to themselves as well as to society. You will also learn about the probate process. Sometimes you may see a loved one who needs to go into the hospital, but you can't get them into the hospital because they are living with anagnosia, which that is the term for someone who doesn't even realize that they're ill. So you're trying to get them to go into the hospital and they're looking at you like, why should I go to the hospital? There's nothing wrong with me. It must be something wrong with you. And that medical term is called anagnosia. So you will learn the steps on how to get your loved one into the doctor or into the hospital when they simply will not go. You will also learn what to say to the police officers when they come to your house. You will need to call a crisis intervention team. These are police officers that are very familiar with people living with the medical condition of mental illness. Okay, so there's a big difference. And you do want a crisis intervention team to come. And I'm not going to say just the regular police, but you want to ask for a crisis intervention team. So these are some of the things that you will learn when you take a mental health first aid responder course. I know a lot of people out there do not know what mental illness is. And statistics show that people don't even understand it, and they don't even recognize the symptoms and signs, which is preventing our loved ones, our coworkers, our family members, our bosses from getting the help that they need. Well, if you take a mental health first aid responder course, you will learn how to help your loved ones, ladies and gentlemen. It's really important. I encourage you, we want you to be well. We want you to be able to help us break the stigma of mental illness in our communities, because we do know that media, CNN, Criminal Minds, Law and Order will tell you that every single person who is mentally ill is probably going to murder you. Well, that is not true, okay? Mental illness is a medical condition, just like COPD, multiple sclerosis, diabetes, heart failure, anything. People just need to take their medication, and recovery is possible. So what is recovery? Basically, a person who has begun to take their medication, they're now back in college, they're engaging in satisfying relationships. They are teachers and doctors and VPs and caseworkers and social workers and nurses, bosses, like I said, all of these people that you may not even know that is living with the medical condition of mental illness. They are living in recovery because they are taking their medication, right? So, be interested in becoming a mental health first aid responder. There is a course coming up on March 28th in Twinsburg, Ohio. If you are interested, please let me know or my husband know, Pastor Banks. You can email me at judith_banks17@yahoo.com. If you want to learn more about the course, you can also go to my website at mentalhealth17.com. There is a book that you will receive. It is the book required by the state of Ohio. This is the book, ladies and gentlemen, that you will receive when you take the course. There is a cost to the course. You will receive the state of Ohio required book, training book that you get to keep and refer to as often as possible. And again, you will also receive a 3-year certification that you can put on your resume or take back to your job and encourage other people to take the Mental Health First Aid Responder course. That is, again, like I said, I wasn't going to be before you long. Forgive me for my stumbling in the beginning, but I encourage you to take a Mental Health First Aid Responder course. Also, I almost forgot, those of you who are not familiar, I did publish a book. This is the book. It's called 30 Things You Need to Know When Your Loved One is Diagnosed with Mental Illness. It was published in July of 2019. You can also find the book at mentalhealth17.com as well as Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and Exhibitor Publishing. And I look forward to seeing you at a class soon. Thank you so much. Please enjoy your weekend, and God bless you.